हेलो एवरीबॉडी, वेलकम टू द विजडम वेडनेसडे सीरीज। आज के इस वीडियो में हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट डॉक्ट्रिन्स अंडर द इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लॉ। दिस इज पार्ट वन ऑफ द सीरीज और इसमें हम पांच इंपॉर्टेंट डॉक्ट्रिन्स डिस्कस करने वाले हैं। इवन इफ यू हैवंट स्टडीड इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लॉ बिफोर, डोंट वरी, वी आर स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम स्क्रैच, so we got you. My name is Tanya. Welcome to the YouTube channel of Legal Edge and stay tuned till the end so you can have the most benefit of this video. So the first doctrine we are discussing is the doctrine of consideration. इसे समझने से पहले हम तीन टर्म्स को समझते हैं: promisor, promisee and consideration. So under the Indian contract law, promisor वो इंसान होता है जो किसी चीज का promise करता है. If you and I are in a situation and we are going to enter into a transaction related to something where I promise to deliver something to you, either in form of a product or a service, for example, then I become the promisor. And since you are the one accepting my promise, or you are the one to whom this promise is being made, you become the promisee. With me so far? नाउ कंसिडरेशन क्या होता है? कंसिडरेशन सेक्शन 2 क्लॉज डी में डिफाइन किया गया है अंडर द इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट। कंसिडरेशन का मतलब होता है कि जब प्रोमिसर के कहने पर, एट द डिजायर ऑफ द प्रोमिसर, प्रोमिसी या तो कुछ करने के लिए या कुछ करने से रिफ्रेन या एब्सटेन करने के लिए हाँ करता है, तो उसे हम कंसिडरेशन कहते हैं। अ कंसिडरेशन इज डन एज अ रिटर्न for any promise that the promisor has made. So, for example, if I, the promisor, assure you that I am going to buy you a bag of chips or I'm going to give you a bag of chips, and in turn you say कि आप मुझे उसके लिए 10 रुपए देंगे, तो I, the promisor, you, the promisee, and you are going to give me consideration, which is 10 rupees in this particular context. Okay, this is the basic and the most simplest way of defining consideration. तो डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ कंसिडरेशन ये कहती है कि अंडर द इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लॉ में आप कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को जब एनफोर्सिएबल करते हो, जब किसी भी अग्रीमेंट में कंसिडरेशन को ऐड करते हो, तब जाके वो एक एनफोर्सिएबल या वैलिड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट माना जाता है. विदाउट दिस इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी कंसिडर्ड एज अ वैलिड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. For any act that a promisor does and the promisee benefits out of, there has to be an exchange of consideration between the two parties. And that is essentially the doctrine of consideration. ये एक बहुत basic doctrine है, ये बहुत simple doctrine है. इसका this was developed through English law. Much like a lot of the Indian contract law itself, this was also developed as an English concept. But the reason that it is propounded so much is because consideration की भी बहुत सारे different valuables या variables होते हैं, which we are going to understand in this video. There are a few essential ingredients related to the doctrine of consideration to keep in mind. First of all, कि consideration must flow from the desire of the promiser. That is to say, अगर कोई third party voluntarily या अपने गुडविल के थ्रू कोई एक्ट करती है, they cannot later ask the promisor or obligate him to return or act on this goodwill or this act. All right? That is to say, अगर A बी की मदद करने के लिए कुछ भी कर देता है, उसको एक पढ़ा देता है ताकि वो एग्जाम में पास हो जाए, so post the exam A cannot ask B to pay him tuition fee or help him out in another way. Okay, this act that A has done out of his own voluntary self or out of his own goodwill is not consideration in the context. Secondly, ये जो consideration है, it can flow from the promisee or from any third party. So the definition of consideration in the act itself states that consideration can flow from the act or the forbearance or the abstinence to do from something can flow either from the promisee or from any third party. तो ये necessary नहीं है कि in turn of the promiser's consideration सिर्फ promisee ही obligated हो to abstain from something. Even a third party can be asked to abstain from this act and it is still going to suffice as consideration in the particular case. Another important point to remember कि consideration past, present या futuristic हो सकती है. It is as the name suggests, बहुत simple है. पास्ट कंसिडरेशन वो होती है जो ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग या ऑलरेडी अटेम्प्टेड या डन एक्ट्स के बारे में बात करती है. We'll take the same example of A and B. All right. So A has voluntarily helped B to write an exam and pass in the exam. In this situation, B is not obligated to pay anything or reimburse A for any act. However, एग्जाम से पास होने की खुशी में या टॉप करने की खुशी में अगर ए अपनी तरफ से ये कहता है कि he will reimburse A for this particular act, now there is something at the desire of the promisor and this becomes consideration. So past consideration is the amount or is the value that is given on the desire of the promisor for an act that is already conducted. Now, प्रेजेंट कंसिडरेशन वो होती है जहां पे जो एक्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट हो रहा है या जो एक्ट चल रहा है उसी के साथ में ही कंसिडरेशन फ्लोज फ्रॉम वन पार्टी टू अनदर. जैसे ही ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ, जैसे ही एक्ट कंडक्ट हुआ, उसी के साथ कंसिडरेशन ऑल्सो फ्लोज फ्रॉम ए टू बी. ऑलराइट. Future consideration is also, as the English tense suggests, for any act that is going to take place in the future. So this is futuristic in nature. यहाँ दोनों parties के ऊपर एक obligation है. एक पार्टी के ऊपर ऑब्लिगेशन है कि फ्यूचर में वो कोई एक्ट करेगी, प्रोमिसर के ऊपर फ्यूचर में कोई एक्ट करने का ऑब्लिगेशन है, और प्रोमिसी के ऊपर वो कंसिडरेशन पे करने का ऑब्लिगेशन है वंस दैट फ्यूचर एक्ट इज अकम्प्लिश्ड. गुड. So we have three essentials down. The fourth essential is that consideration need not be adequate. Consideration का ये मतलब नहीं होता है कि हम उस एक्ट को या उस सर्विस को या उस प्रोडक्ट को एब्सोल्युटली उतना ही क्वांटिफाई करें जितना उसका मटीरियलिस्टिक या मार्केट वैल्यू असर्टेन हो सकती है. There just has to be a consideration that exists. It does not necessarily have to be proportionally adequate to the act, service, or product that is being considered in the transaction. All right. Another important thing to remember is that consideration किसी physical या legal impossibility के through बार नहीं होनी चाहिए. If your consideration is not physically or legally enforceable or valid, it is not going to be considered as lawful. So A, the consideration must not be forbidden by any law that is practiced in the land. Two, it should not be such that it harms another person or their property. And third, it should not be immoral in nature or something that is opposed to public policy. With this, we are done with doctrine of consideration and we are going to move on to the next doctrine. Doctrine of privity या doctrine of privity to contract essentially ये कहता है कि only the parties to the contract have a right to sue each other or to make each other liable for the respective rights or duties for which they have entered the contract. If I do not deliver that bag of chips to you, then only you have the right to sue me for it. Nobody else can enter into this and ask me to enforce my obligation of the said transaction. It is this simple. So, doctrine of privity is enforced in this manner. First of all, it is essential that there is more than one party to a contract. I think this is self-explanatory. Second, the parties to the contract must have the capacity to enter the contract. Matlab, in terms of their age, soundness of mind, or however the law gives capacity for a person to be entering into a contract, that should suffice. थर्ड, इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के किसी टर्म या कंडीशन को लेके किसी एक पार्टी की तरफ से कोई ब्रीच होना चाहिए. इट इज ओनली देन द क्वेश्चन ऑफ एनफोर्सिंग अ राइट और लाइबिलिटी विल कम इनटू द पिक्चर. एंड व्हेन दिस क्वेश्चन अराइजेस, that is when the doctrine of privity comes into existence, because then the parties of the contract will have a right, only these parties of the contract will have a right to sue the other party to enforce their said obligations. इस डॉक्ट्रिन के कुछ बहुत बेसिक से एक्सेप्शंस हैं. फर्स्ट एक्सेप्शन ये कहता है कि इफ यू आर अ बेनिफिशियरी टू द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, यू माइट नॉट बी अ पार्टी बट यू माइट बी समबडी हु इज बेनिफिटिंग आउट ऑफ दिस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. ऑलराइट. तो तब अगर इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कोई ब्रीच होता है, यू कैन वेरी वेल गो एंड सू द पार्टी हु हैज कॉज्ड द ब्रीच, जिसकी वजह से आपका ये बेनिफिट्स का फ्लो रुक गया है. ओके. द सेकेंड एक्सेप्शन इज दैट अगर कोई अपने किसी एक्ट, किसी अक्नॉलेजमेंट या किसी कंसिडरेशन के फ्लो के थ्रू ये रिकग्नाइज करता है कि आप भी इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का किसी ना किसी तरह हिस्सा हैं, तो यू आर गोइंग टू बी कंसिडर्ड एज समबडी हु हैज द कैपेसिटी टू सू इन दिस केस, in case there is a breach. And the third exception is in cases of मैरिज और मेंटेनेंस और ट्राइंग टू प्रोटेक्ट अ फैमिली मेंबर, जहां आपको लगता है कि इवन इफ दे आर नॉट पार्टी ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, इफ दिस राइट इज नॉट गिवन टू देम और एक्सटेंडेड टू देम, then they might suffer because they might not get the due share because of the terms of the contract. So in those cases, that family member has a right to sue the party who is causing the breach in the contract. डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ प्रॉमिसरी एस्टॉपल को समझने के लिए एक छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं। आप और मैं एक कॉन्वर्जेशन में हैं, where I tell you I own a certain piece of land and I'm looking for interested buyers. You say that you'd be interested in buying the land. We have a conversation about it, and I tell you that I would sell the land to you. Based on this statement of mine, based on this idea of mine, you start investing in the land. You hire people to even the land out. You start improving on the land. You start working on it. Now, already a certain amount of money has been invested on this land on your end. When the time comes to create a sales agreement, a sales deed, I backtrack from my statement and I say I am not interested in selling the land anymore. एंड कंसिडरिंग कि अब हमारे बीच में कोई अग्रीमेंट बना नहीं है, कोई कंसिडरेशन शेयर नहीं हुआ है, देर इज नो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, टेक्निकली यू शुड हैव नो राइट। सो डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ प्रोमिसरी एस्टॉपल बना ही इस रूल ऑफ फेयरनेस और इक्विटी पे है, टू एंश्योर कि ऐसा फाउल प्ले ना हो किसी के साथ। ये डॉक्ट्रिन कहता है कि बेस्ड व्हेन टू पार्टीज have an intent of entering into a legal relationship, and based on the act, direction, omission, or an implication of any party, of one of the parties, उस चीज के इंड्यूसमेंट में आके अगर कोई और पार्टी अपना कुछ मनी या कुछ दे इन्वेस्ट समथिंग और दे एक्ट अपॉन दिस स्टेटमेंट, then the other party who had made such directions, who had given such statements, their statements can be turned into obligation towards the other party. They can be refrained or abstained from backing out of this transaction from now. इस डॉक्ट्रिन को एनफोर्स करने के कुछ सर्टेन एसेंशियल एलिमेंट्स होते हैं। First of all, there must be an existence of a lawful relationship or an anticipation or intention towards creating a legal relationship between the two parties. Secondly, there must be an assurance from one of the parties towards another, and assurance ऐसा होना चाहिए कि any rational human being who having heard such assurance would have anticipated कि इस चीज का कोई lawful outcome या कुछ certain rights create होंगे in their favor. The third thing is reliance. Based on this assurance, इस assurance पे rely करके सामने वाली पार्टी ने उसके ऊपर कोई action लिया हो या they have started acting upon it. The fourth thing is damage. Of course, based on this action, if one of these parties has suffered damages, then they can enforce this doctrine, and you will have a right to turn any of these assurance or statements into obligation, even if an actual express contract has not been entered into. The next doctrine we have to discuss is the doctrine of implied contract. It is a very simple doctrine. Essentially, Section 9 of the Indian Contract Act ये कहता है कि it is not necessary कि हर बार contract या कोई transaction दो parties के बीच में express words के साथ ही हो. Sometimes the offer and acceptance can run between two parties in an implied form. इसके लिए दो चीजें बहुत important है. Consideration, as we discussed in the doctrine of consideration, it is still a very important essential in this contract. And two, there must be a common intent or a meeting of minds. It is known as consensus idem. दोनों parties का intent same होना चाहिए, and the implication that they both have understood out of this legal relationship should be on the same page. And this is known as the doctrine of implied contract. इसको समझने के लिए एक बहुत छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं। सो एवरी डे यू कम टू माई हाउस एंड यू take care of my garden. Okay? And every day I pay you a certain amount. This keeps going on after third day and fourth day and fifth day. Nowhere throughout this process had we discussed how this is going to take place or how I'm going to pay you, whether I'm going to pay you or not. After the fifth day, if I stop paying you and I still expect your service, this would be in contradiction to our implied contract, because so far through our acts and how the transaction was processing, we have created an implicit or an unexpressed way of discussing how a transaction is going to take place between the two of us. The Indian contract law ये बेसिक रूल है कि अगर दो पार्टीज के बीच में टर्म्स एंड ऑब्लिगेशंस डिटर्मिन किए गए हैं, So, on breach of any of these obligations, the party causing such breach would owe damages or compensation to the other party. डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ फ्रस्ट्रेशन इसी चीज का एक्सेप्शन है. ये डॉक्ट्रिन कहता है कि अगर बिकॉज ऑफ एनी इंसिडेंट दैट इज आउटसाइड ऑफ द कंट्रोल ऑफ दीज पार्टीज, then the contract becomes frustrated because it might have become unlawful or impossible to perform. And in those cases, that would not be considered as a breach of the contract. Section 56 of Indian Contract Act says the contract to do anything impossible is void. इस चीज को enforce करने के लिए there has to be existence of a valid contract that was enforceable by law. Two, the contract should not have been acted upon or completed as of yet. And three, the incident that has occurred that has caused such impossibility should have been outside of the control of either parties. So अगर दोनों में से कोई भी पार्टी उस सिचुएशन को सैल्वेज कर सकती थी, उसे रोक सकती थी या उसका डैमेज कम भी कर सकती थी, and they haven't done it, then you cannot enforce this doctrine to get yourself out of paying damages or compensation. अब डिस्कस करते हैं वो ग्राउंड्स जिसके बेसिस पे आप डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ फ्रस्ट्रेशन को एक डिफेंस की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इज इम्पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस. अगर एक्ट ही ऐसा है जो इम्पॉसिबल हो गया है करने के लिए, देन यू कैन क्लेम दिस एज अ डिफेंस. द सेकेंड इज डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट मैटर. जिस चीज के ऊपर आप एक्ट करने वाले थे, जिस चीज को आप या तो क्रिएट करने वाले थे और यू वर गोइंग टू इन्वेस्ट, इम्प्रूव और वर्क ऑन इट, if that itself is destroyed and does not exist anymore, then the contract becomes frustrated. The third is the death or insanity of either of the parties, which makes the contract impossible to come to a conclusion for the rights and liabilities of such parties. Self-explanatory. The next is frustration by law. अगर लॉ के चेंज होने से या किसी गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी के इंटरवीन होने से आपका ये एक्ट अब लीगल नहीं है या फिर इट इज नॉट लॉफुली पॉसिबल टू bring it to the conclusion that both parties had intended to, then the contract cannot be completed. I am sure in the current pandemic situation, आपने force majeure as a clause बहुत बार सुना होगा. So force majeure is also a clause that essentially states कि अगर किसी चीज का literal या physical impossibility हो जाती है in a contractual transaction, then that contract becomes frustrated and it does not have to be enforced. But in India, force majeure is seen as a clause जो हम contract में add करते हैं for the benefit of the parties, where the parties foresee this situation themselves or they can predict कि अगर ऐसा कभी future में कुछ होता है which is beyond our control, then certain rights and obligations are going to be terminated. Doctrine of frustration, however, is a statutory benefit or a statutory defense given in a Indian Contract Act itself. So essentially, even if your contract does not have a force majeure clause, you can still invoke Section 56 and defend yourself based on the grounds that we just discussed. So thank you all for watching this video. Please stay tuned to our channel for the second part of this topic itself. We are going to discuss more doctrines of the Indian contract law. Before we end this session, I have to tell you all about India's biggest preparation event. Legal Edge is hosting the CLAT Conclave from 3rd to 5th September on our website. You can register for it today. The registration links are down in the description box. It's absolutely free for all of you. It is going to be 3 days of events and sessions that have been created to give you insight on how you can make it to your journey to your dream law college. I hope to see a lot of you over there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please ensure that if you like this content, you subscribe to our channel, you follow us on our social media handles of Instagram, Telegram, and Facebook. We give a lot of interesting updates and we keep churning out such interesting content for you guys. You can call the number on the screen. It is your one-stop contact for all questions Legal Edge. And thank you so much.